Ciao, and welcome to Bodied, a Cloud9 Fancast. This week, it is just a solo episode with me, Frozencreek. Your boy Havokpus is enjoying a quick vacation over to Rome in Italy, where he will be through the weekend, I believe. So until then, you just have me. So I plan on doing a relatively short episode this week, just running over last week's games, doing a quick preview of our two games this week. Unfortunately, I am joined a little bit by some construction going on in the apartment above me. So if you hear any drilling, grinding, anything like that, um, I apologize, but there's nothing I can do about it at this point. So this week we are going to start with other esports. Unfortunately, it was only Cloud9 Blue, I believe. They are continuing their run in the VCT Challengers competition group stage in Group A. They 2-0'd Luminosity. I didn't end up seeing map 1, but I do know that map 2 was a little bit sus. We took it to overtime, I believe, after falling a little bit behind, but the boys were able to clutch some rounds at the end and fulfill their 2-0. So that was pretty good. That 2-0 puts them at tied for first place with the rookie team, the Guard, which Havok talked a little bit about last week. Since we're going to the last group stage game, we will be playing the Guard this week on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is actually going to be a pretty hype match. Both teams are undefeated in Group A, which is pretty hype. So we are going to be playing to see who takes the first seed out of the groups, which I'm not entirely sure of the tournament format, but I have to imagine that it's going to be big for the future of our VCT run. So I'm hoping that we can get that. If you're going to watch any Valorant game for the first time or for your first night back or whatever, I think that this is going to be a really good and fun match to watch. Technically, the Guard is ahead of us in the group right now. They have 3 more point differential than us throughout the first 4 games. But this is going to actually be the tiebreaker because one team is going to come out of the group undefeated, and I don't see any reason that it cannot be us. Moving on to Academy, the boys had a tough week. They ended up coming up against first place Golden Guardians Academy, where they went 1-1, and they also played Evil Geniuses Academy and also went 1-1. I think the second game against EGA was some tough luck. It was probably a match they should have won, but I guess it do be like that sometimes. After this week, the boys sit in third place in Academy with playoffs coming up relatively soon. They've played 30 games. They are going to play 36, so they got 2 or 3 weeks left. They played 3 games this week, so they must have 2 weeks left. So that gives them a chance to hopefully catch CLG and GG Academy, who are 1 and 2 games ahead of us, respectively. We don't have either of them this week, so we can't make ground that way. But all we can do is try and win our games. This is being recorded on Wednesday, released on Thursday, so I will not be able to preview or anything the first game. Wednesday they play Immortals Academy. Thursday Team Liquid Academy, and then Friday they have FlyQuest Academy. So should be a pretty fun week. TLA is pretty good. Immortals is pretty good. Fly, not so much. So that should hopefully be a pretty easy 2-0. But I would like to see them find 2-2-0s out of this week. And if they do go 1-1, I have to imagine it's going to be either quote unquote yesterday on Wednesday or today on Thursday. Thursday's match is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, while Fridays against FlyQuest Academy is at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then that is it for Academy this week. Moving on to LCS, it it really felt like another week of what is going on in top lane. Um, on the Saturday game versus Golden Guardians, that was a lot more evident as Summit massively gapped Licorice in lane. He solo killed him, and then Blabber had a really big gank right after Licorice used his TP. I really don't think Licorice had an amazingly bad game. The flash away from Summit's Q in where he flashed into the Q was a little bit sus, but I think overall Summit is just a lot better top laner. I thought the draft was a little bit weird. It didn't really feel like there was enough damage anywhere to do anything, and that they had to snowball to really win the game, and they drafted it into a Xin Zhao and Karma Ezreal bot lane, which seemed a little bit sus to me, but Summit was able to take advantage of Licorice, and Fudge had a pretty solid game against a Blaze Olive's Victor. I also think that Blabber's Hecarim had a lot more impact than Xin Zhao did, and that made a really big difference too. I really think that the highlight of this game was our ability to engage and win team fights. There was a dragon or two where we were able to get some flanks, but there was also the fight mid lane where Fudge TP'd to a ward behind Golden Guardians, and then Summit TP'd like kind of into the fight. And at first I thought it was a weird TP by Fudge, but I watched the Victory 5 versus Billy Gaming match from Tuesday, and Rookie was playing Ari, and if he got a chance to flank, he was actually trying to cut off opponents as Ari, which I thought was weird, but they were able to win some fights really big that way, because people couldn't quite tie her down, I guess, and her damage is good enough. I'm not an Ari player, so I can't guarantee that's correct, but seeing Fudge do it and Rookie do it, I can't imagine that it's the dumbest thing in the world. I also thought that Captain Flowers had a really great game. He was talking about Chekhov's Berserker. I thought that was pretty hilarious, especially with him being on Jhin. So if you're not familiar with Chekhov's gun, it's a dramatic principle for TV shows, plays, theater, music, I guess. That is basically, if something's not going to be used in a scene or in the overall narrative, then it shouldn't be in a scene or overall narrative. So it's called Chekhov's gun because effectively, if there's a gun in the scene, or if there's a gun in the first chapter, like on a wall or in a desk, and you mention it, then it has to be used later in the narrative, or it's a waste of space, basically. So I thought that was pretty funny, because he was able to effectively just farm well all game. He ended up with 26 CSC, which I guess isn't insane, but he was also able to be extremely impactful, doing the second most damage on Cloud9, and actually the fifth most damage in the game, behind Licorice, Blaze Olive, and Lost. So not insanely impactful, but he was able to make plays when it was called on him, so that was pretty good. I also thought that Winsome had a bit of a coming out party. Or I guess that's not totally fair. He's been playing well for the past few weeks. Um, it is to be noted that he came from a Korean amateur, so it's not like he came from Korean or Korea's version of academy, like Berserker did. Um, so there was always going to be some space for growth, and I think he's really showing it just by being um, a solid part of this lineup, and not really having to do too much. Um, Now that he's not playing like champions like as Sona, who die if you look at them too hard, uh, I think it's helped him quite a bit. For the second game of the weekend against Evil Geniuses, I also felt like it was kind of the story of top lane. Summit was going against former Cloud9 player and former world champion and longtime LCS star Impact, and I don't think the matchup disappointed. For some reason, Inspired took Kha'Zix, and then he spent the entire game bowling Summit on Gwen. And while it seemed impactful in the story of the game, it really didn't mean in anything in the grand scheme of things. Summit popped off at the end of the game. I think they said he had the most damage, despite getting hard camped all game. He was massive in one of the dragon fights. They were trying to focus him down. He went immune, and then Berserker and Fudge just went ham. Blabber obviously had a really big game. He ended up going 7-0 and 9, which I feel like Fudge quietly went 7-1 and 10. He didn't die for first blood. He died for second blood, though, technically, to Inspired. But from then on, he picked up 7 kills and, 9 assists from that, which is absolutely massive against a team that has championship hopes, such as EG. So that was a big game for Fudge and Summit. I would like to see the damage charts. I can't seem to find them at the moment, which is unfortunate. Despite the fact that Inspired camped Summit all game, Blabber had a really impactful game too. Also, he got two of the really big ganks off on Joe Pian, and he was all over the map grabbing kills at any point he could. He ended up picking up the player of the week honors based off of his play. He went 3-1 and 11, then 7-0 and 9, which is pretty crazy for a jungler. I guess he thinks Hakrum's the second, he thinks Volibear's the second strongest jungler at this point, because Hakrum got banned by EG. I thought EG had a really interesting draft prepared for this. They took a really early Aphelios after they banned Hakrum. And that was obviously to try and throw off Berserker. Obviously, that isn't going to work. He's played a bunch of different champions at this point: Jhin, Aphelios, Ezreal, and he's played them all at a high level. He's probably only had like one questionable game, and that was against CLG after LS got fired. So. Which is entirely explainable to me. I think it looks like we went Rise, Karma in our first rotation, and then EG was happy to try and counter pick Fudge with a Syndra who set up Haroon's to go early game. Obviously that did not work out because Blabber ran train all over her, and she was effectively useless the whole game. Somewhere she picked up 2 kills. I'm not entirely sure where, but she finished the game with 2 items, which not ideal in a 28-minute game for a mid laner. Um, as I did mention earlier, the Kazakhs in a Kali pick to me seemed a little bit sus, but I guess it do be like that sometimes. I don't really have anything extra to add for uh, for last weekend. I think both Summit and Blabber uh, set the narrative that they're MVP candidates. I'm curious what the Dive is going to say about it. That'll be coming out around the time this comes out, so you can check that out there. Spring Split Blabber continues to be a god, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to him, but they also seem to not like to give MVP to the same person so often, unless it's Bjergsen. I don't think it's going to be Bjergsen this time. From TL, maybe Hansama or Bwipo are possibilities. I can't really think of anyone else who might be in contention besides those 4. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to is whoever finishes first place, which leads me to this weekend. This weekend we have 2 games inching closer to the end of the season. Saturday we play Mortals at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Sundays the Big Kahuna Team Liquid at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, first game of the day. So make sure you at least tune in for that one. Immortals has probably lived up to expectations. They're not an incredibly good squad, but I think you would like to see more from Xerxes and Power of Evil, who are both unicorns of love alumni. Excuse me. But Revenge, Destiny, Wild Turtle, and or Arrow haven't really been all that strong this split, which I guess isn't much of a surprise. I have to imagine this is going to be another top gap. They might try and ban out Gnar, Gwen, and Jace, and try and put Summit on to something he's not comfortable with, which I think can be pretty difficult. He can also play Camille. He can probably play Trendemir. He can play Graves. I want to see his Kennen this week. I think that would be a good game for him to try something new on, because he should be able to gap Mortals in any way. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll get a new champ from him, but they also could just give him something, or he also could just play a champ he's familiar with and save his new pick for Team Liquid the next day. I think that possibly the most interesting matchup is always the Xerxes Blabber one. Xerxes has always been a fun jungler to watch ever since his days back in Europe. He's kind of been a bust in NA just because he's always had a really shitty team. But with the jungler meta where it's at, I can't imagine it's going to be too crazy. But maybe he'll bring out something fun. Maybe we can get an Olaf right before Team Liquid, just to remind Team Liquid that Blabber can play Olaf and try and waste a ban that way. I can't imagine it'll work, but it's something we're trying. The mid matchup, it's going to be interesting to see what Fudge plays into Power of Evil. The famed mage player, control mage player. Last time they played, Fudge was able to get the better of him on a mage. So I'm hoping that this time is much of the same. Maybe we can see something different. I I can't imagine if I just spent a lot of time on Azir yet, but I think it'd be fun to watch him try. If we could get Berserker on something comfortable and Summit on something comfortable, and let Fudge try something new. I don't think that's going to happen though. I have to imagine it's going to be Ryze, Orianna. Maybe he can pull out a Syndra. I don't think he's played that yet on stage, and that's a stable control mage. I think that would be an interesting choice for Fudge. I also could see them just going hard meta and trying to draw some extra bans against Team Liquid on Sunday, but I'm not entirely sure how that would actually end up playing out in practicality. The big match of the weekend is obviously versus Team Liquid. We fortunately have Immortals on Saturday, so not a layup, but a game that we probably focus on a little bit less in practice during the week. Team Liquid has EG, which is not a team you can let up against in practice. While they have pretty much kind of played this same way, rotate up for Herald and leave Danny and bot to farm plates. I think that EG's explosive enough to win a one-off match against anyone, and I think that Team Liquid really needs to work on preventing that. Even though if they do win and beat us on Sunday, they would have the tiebreaker on us, I do believe. But that isn't really anything we can worry about right now. Obviously, these are the two best teams in LCS right now. They're 2 games ahead of FlyQuest in 3rd place, who hasn't been on free fall, but they've been stumbling quite a bit. As of now, it looks like the obvious MSI showdown is going to be between these two in finals. And with playoffs coming soon, it's going to be interesting to watch how this plays out. The patches have not changed. Both new champions are in the game. Zeri, obviously, and then Renata Glask. Is that how you say it? Something like that. Well, I still don't understand. I played games with and against her now. I don't quite understand how she works, but she seems okay. EU's picked her a few times. I know that we have not. I would like to see us pull out a Zeri. Maybe not on Sunday, though. I do know that Blabber has talked about us playing off meta slash not cheese, but just off meta stuff. I'm not sure entirely what that means, since we aren't able to see inside practices and stuff. I do know they like the Karthus. I think Udyr's not off meta. He's just meta tangent right now. So I can't imagine what that would mean besides enchanters, but I guess this is the potential week to pull out something interesting. I'm not entirely sure about the state of Kog'Maw. Maybe you can go Lulu, Soraka, Kog'Maw, and put one of them mid lane and have the other 2 peel and go Volibear and Gnar or something. Last game we played against Team Liquid, they were happy to put Blippo on tank duty. I honestly don't think that's going to change this week. Seeing him on Gragas, or maybe Ornn, maybe Tryndamere, who isn't a tank, I guess, but I'm not sure if he wants to skill check Summit. I think if we were able to get a relatively isolated matchup top lane, that Summit should be able to win out on that. I don't think he's going to get Jace. He could possibly get Gnar. So So I think he's going to have to either pick something for team fighting, or I think that's what he's going to end up having to do. Maybe a Camille. I would like to see him play Kennen at some point, but I'm not familiar with his champion pool from Korea. It seems like he kind of sticks to meta champs and plays it out that way. So I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna get from him. I don't think we're gonna get anything weird in the jungle. It looks like we're on red side, as our Team Liquid gets side choice. So I imagine that we are going to be red side. I think that means Hecarim is going to be banned by us. Who did we ban last week? That was red side. On the red side, we banned not Aatrox. Sometimes the new champions on Reddit don't show up further photo, but we banned Hecarim, Tahm Kench, and not Aatrox. Then Trin, Ymir, and Lee Sin. I think that Santorin is going to want to just play something for the team. So I think Hecarim will be banned. Maybe an Udyr or Sejuani. And I think that Blabber is happy playing the opposite side of a tank / bruiser matchup too. Maybe we could get Lee Sin or Xin Zhao. But I think he's happy playing Volibear, Hecarim, and stuff like that. Mid lane wise, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fudge play Ryze or Orianna again. Those seem to be his convert picks so far this split. So we might get some more of that. Bot lane, Hansama probably has a dirty Fidelios, but I think the goal would probably be to get him on a champion that we can out damage. So maybe a Zeri and take advantage of it, or maybe a Fidelios, but or Jhin, and then we can come back with like an Ezreal if they pick Zeri. Berserker is supposed to have a good Draven, who's been used as a counter to Zeri, I guess. I know that Tana has, because V5 picked Tristana and Rel into Doggo's Zeri, and it worked out well. So that's a possibility, I think. But hopefully we see Winsome on a tank. I think he's more comfortable on tanks, and it's just a little bit easier for him to have agency on the game. But I did watch his interview with Travis, and I think I'm feeling pretty confident about the weekend. So I think that my prediction is just going to be a 2-0. We should not have any trouble with Immortals, and then we easily could have beat Team Liquid last time if Boyapo wasn't so present in the game, I guess, and interrupting Blabber's Karthus ults multiple times late game. He was able to take advantage of that quite a bit. So even if we did see a Karthus or something, I do like our chances that way. I think the biggest thing is just not letting a lane run away with it. From their team, I could see them trying to play through Boppo or bot lane and picking Zillion again. Going the easy route for them. So whatever we can do to counteract that, whether that's banning Zillion in the last two bans or not. So, an interesting week ahead of us. Make sure to tune in for our games this weekend. Sunday's going to be fun. There's not really a ton going on. I guess college basketball tournaments wrap up this weekend, but hopefully most of them are done by 3:30. So you should be okay to watch both. But I think that's about it for this week. So I'm gonna sign off. I went a little bit longer than I was hoping, so I apologize for that. But next week, we'll be back with Havoc, and we can ask him about his trip to Rome and how eating all that spaghetti was, because I am jealous. But signing out. Bye.